cropped out of it, obviously, and in the caption my brother was thanking my parents for helping him so much throughout his life. Now they were also the first investors in the business that he was about to start up. All my friends had the same question for me. If my parents did not have any money to be able to pay for my college tuition, then how come they were able to invest in my brother's business? It did not add up, and they felt that it was important for me to know about it, because they sensed that something fishy was going on. There was definitely something that my parents were not telling me. Even I was really taken aback by that post, because I had no idea what any of this was about. I first wanted to talk to my parents about it, but then I decided against it, because talking to them would be pointless. I already knew what was going on, and if I tried to talk to them, they would just lie about everything, and maybe they would even make my brother take that post down. Make him lie to me as well that day was very difficult for me, because I had to make an impossible choice. But in the evening I decided that I was no longer interested in living with my parents anymore, because they had shown me that I was on my own. They would go to any lengths to support my brother but avoid supporting me. It was clear now that they did have a golden child, and it was not me. I acted normally throughout the day, pretended that everything was fine, but at night I decided to make a run for it. I had already been packing throughout the day, and I went out at night, got an Uber, and then headed to a friend's house. I had already talked to him and his parents. They were okay with letting me live with them for a couple of weeks, at least until college started. They knew about my situation and sympathized with me, which is why they even offered to pay for me to go to college, because they were pretty rich, could afford it. I am still considering it, because it's going to be weird taking money from a friend, his family, but they seem more than happy to help me out. I have been living with them ever since I ran away from home, so they have already done a lot for me. I just feel weird asking them to do even more. Even though I am not actually asking them, they are the ones who are offering me help. But anyway, coming back to my parents, they were pretty torn up about everything the morning. After they realized that I was not at home and had gone away in the middle of the night, they started bombarding me with phone calls and texts begging me to come back, or at least tell them where I was so they would know that I was safe. And the worst part of it was that they even had the audacity to ask me why I was doing this to them. I did not say much. I just forwarded the post that brother had put up and left it at that. They knew that there was no point pretending now, so they started coming up with excuses to try and explain everything to me. It was quite insulting that they thought that I would actually fall for their stupid, lame excuses. They literally said that they were trying to protect me, which is why they did not tell me the truth. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I think it would have been better to tell me the truth rather than trying to protect me by telling me a bunch of lies and then breaking my trust and my heart. They tried to say that if my brother's business succeeded, then they would make sure that I would be able to pay off my student loans future, and I just needed to look at it as an investment, not a sacrifice. But the money was actually the least of my concerns, because what really hurt was that they were willing to bet on my brother but not on me, even though it would have been much less expensive to send me to college than to help fund an entirely new business. On top of that they had lied to me about not having enough money, even though they did, but they just thought that it would be better to spend it all on my brother instead of me. I was deeply hurt by everything. I told them that I did not want to come back. I definitely did not want to keep in touch with them, because it was very obvious to me that they did not care about me. I did not want to live in a house with people who did not love or care about me, because then I would just be a burden on them. And that's the last thing that I wanted. I think that sort of freaked my mother out more than my father, because she completely threw him under the bus, told me that she had not even been on board with this plan. Right from the beginning, she knew that this was wrong, but she just went along with it because my father insisted upon it. She tried to talk to me for a couple of days and kept telling me that she was really sorry about everything. It had never been her intention to hurt me, but she just kept going with the flow because my father said so. Eventually, she was in too deep to tell me the truth. No matter how much she wanted to, she told me that she was ready to help me out with the money, that she would arrange it no matter what it took, but I just had to come back to her because she did not want to lose me as her son. I was not answering her calls, so the only way she could speak to me was through text. I could tell that she was genuinely upset, sorry about everything that she had put me through, and really wanted to make things right with me. But I did not know how to respond to any of that, because I was still hurt that they had all lied to me, thought that they would get away with it, so I was taking my time and getting back to her. But I guess that was a mistake, because that led to some terrible consequences for my father, but I can't say that he did not deserve it, because in my opinion he totally deserved it. What happened was that because I was taking so much time in responding to her, my mother decided that this was all my dad's fault. I kind of agreed with it. She said that she was going to leave him if he did not get me to forgive them and make me come back at the earliest. They have been fighting about this for the longest time now, and I don't know why, but my dad thinks that this is my fault, which is kind of ridiculous, because if anything, I'm the victim here and he has no right to blame me for anything. He was the one who masterminded this entire situation, and if he had just been honest and transparent with me from day one, then I would not feel so betrayed. I guess I would still be mad that they were not going to pay for my college tuition. He was the one who added an extra layer of lies to all of this. What he was doing was bad enough on its own, without all the deception, but I still feel kind of bad because I know that my parents love each other, and my dad is really pissed off that I am still choosing to take my own sweet time and coming back home. The longer I stay away from my mother, the more she blames him. Their fight just keeps getting worse. He believes that I have punished them enough. Now it's time for me to come back home, but I still don't think I'm ready to go back. I need more time to think about everything, because what they did was really wrong. I need my time to get over it. 1 week. It's just not enough for me to recover from all of this right now, and I'm not going to come back just because my dad needs me to save his marriage. He did not stick up for me when I needed him, so I don't see any reason for me to do the same for him. But at the same time, I do feel kind of bad and responsible for ruining his marriage by refusing to go back home, even though I know that it could ruin my parents' marriage. Update 1. Hello. So it's been 10 days since I ran away from home, and today I finally decided that I was going to go back to talk to my mother. My father stopped texting me and told me that I was free to do whatever I wanted because he was sick of me and my mom, and called us both selfish and inconsiderate, which is pretty rich coming from him. My mother, however, has not yet given up on me and keeps texting me every day. Earlier, she would just tell me that she was sorry, but now she has started telling me that not only is she sorry, but she also misses me a lot, regrets everything that she agreed to. Now she doesn't want anything except for me to come back home. She has even spoken to my brother and has told him that she will not be contributing any money towards his business because all of it is going to go to me, and she's going to make sure that I get to go to college and I don't have to worry about where the money comes from. She has been consistent, and I really can't stay away from her anymore because I know that she is truly and genuinely sorry for everything. She had been led into this by my father anyway, and while it does not absolve her of everything, it's a bit of a consolation to me. At least, she has told me several times that this was never her plan. She never wanted to do any of this, but my father convinced her that if they invested in my brother's business, then they would get the money back sooner and would be able to help me pay off my debts. If I did end up taking out a loan to complete my education, she bought it and even lied to me to protect my feelings. But now she knows that it was all a really messed up plan. Since she actually feels sorry about it, I am ready to go back to her and at least try to talk to her, make things better between the two of us. I have mixed feelings about my dad as of now, so I really don't know what I'm going to say to him when I see him. Update. So I am posting this at night right now, and I am in my own bedroom after a really long time. My parents were very surprised to see me today, but only my mother seemed actually happy. She hugged me and started crying and apologizing as soon as she opened the door, and my father just stood there, lurking in the corner of the room, looking grumpy. I don't even care if he was happy to see me or not. I just feel good that my mother was happy to have me back. She told me that even though she and my father were living in the same house, they had not been speaking to each other for the past couple of days. Now that I was back, she did not know what was going to happen. She told me that my brother was extremely annoyed that she would not be investing in the business anymore, because now he would have to look for other investors, and that would delay the whole process. But she knew that it was the right thing to do, and so she was doing it without any regrets. My brother has not been speaking to her ever since she communicated her decision to him, but she can't help it. She was not going to screw this up. Once again, my father also did not speak to me, even once after I came back home. But I can't help that either both of them can stay mad. It does not matter to me anymore anyway. At least my mother, I are back on speaking terms, and I'm happy about it. She told me that she did not have a lot of money set aside because my dad earned more than she did. but whatever she was going to make do with it. Even ask her parents for extra money if she needed it, but she was going to make sure that I did not have to worry about my tuition. And that's more than what I could ask for my friend. His family were sad to see me go, but they were happy that things were finally looking up for me, and I can never thank them enough for what they did during these past few days. Update 3. Hey, so I am finally in college right now, and things have been great with my mother, unfortunately. I cannot say the same for my father or my brother. My dad moved out a few weeks after I moved back in, and he has been living with my brother ever since then. They have been working on his business together, because now he is a partner in it. My parents have been struggling to make their marriage work, have been going to counseling sessions, but I don't know how it's been going, because I don't really ask my mother about it. I have no interest in anything that is related to my dad or my brother, and I just want to be happy with the one person that I know I can count on, which is my mother. She stayed true to her word, arranged my college tuition with the help of her parents, so I don't have to worry about anything, but I do think I will start paying her back once I start earning. For now, I'm just going to focus on my grades and having fun in college so that I can make the most of this experience. I, 24, was supposed to get married 3 days back, but I had to cancel everything because me and my fiancée, 24 female, did something super messed up. She and I have been together for the past 5 years, since we were in college. Earlier this year we got engaged. We were very happy together, and I had been super pumped about the wedding up until 2 weeks back, until 2 weeks back things changed all of a sudden, because one morning after I woke up, I just found her gone. No note, no text, no explanation. So of course I started panicking, and I tried to call her, I tried to text her, but she didn't respond. And what's worse was that her phone was switched off for one entire day. I asked her family about it, but even they had no clue, and when I reached out to her friends, they did not respond to me. Initially I thought that she had gotten cold feet and it made her run for it, but as time passed I started to think that maybe something bad had happened. I was almost going to report her missing, but really late at night, I think around 4 in the morning, I finally found out what had actually happened and why she was missing. She did not even feel the need to inform me about it herself. I found out about it when one of her friends posted a bunch of pictures on Instagram. They were partying at some bar. Lucky for me, they had tagged the bar in their stories and posts. And when I looked up the place online, I realized that it was in Spain. I was furious because she was getting soused with her friends while I was worrying like crazy back here. So I instantly texted her, and I told her that I had figured out where she was, and also told her that if she did not come back on the next flight, the wedding would be off. I also sent her a really long message about how disappointed I was in her behavior, because she had literally just ghosted me for 1 full day and hadn't even had the common courtesy to inform her fiancés before taking off on some vacation with her friends. I was mad. I did not bother to hide it in the messages that I sent her after I saw the post that her friend had made. But even then, she did not respond immediately. I was mad. Had to wait until the next evening they call me back, and I think it was one of the most disappointing phone calls that I've ever had, because when she finally did call me back, instead of apologizing profusely and trying to fix the situation, she made everything much worse. That's why I ended up canceling the wedding. When I picked up the call, I was very cold towards her, and she had picked up on that tone, but instead of acknowledging what she had done, she instantly started getting defensive. She told me that her college friends had been planning this for her for a really long time, and they had only informed her about it after they had paid for everything. She knew that the two of us had discussed the idea of bachelor and bachelorette parties before, and she knew that I did not like it, so we hadn't bothered to have those sorts of parties. But a few days before the trip, when her friends contacted her, told her about it, she knew that she had to go, because it would be really rude and inconsiderate of her to refuse after they had made all the arrangements and even paid for it. She had known about it for almost 3 days before the trip, yet she hadn't told me about it, and that made me even more upset. So of course I started yelling at her on the phone about her behavior. Even then she did not seem to feel sorry, just kept getting more defensive. She told me that she knew for a fact that if she had discussed it with me, I wouldn't have agreed to it, and that's why she absolutely had to hide it from me and leave. Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, she had tried to contact me later on in the day after she had landed in Spain, but her phone had been acting up. After that, she forgot Because she had been hanging out with her friends, it was crazy how something as important as informing me about her whereabouts could just slip her mind like that, especially when she was doing something so wrong for some reason. She just couldn't understand that what she had done was not cool and kept defending herself, saying that she had only been with me ever since she turned 18 and she deserved to have some sort of life experiences, whatever that means, before she finally settled down with me. I had no idea what she was blabbering about, and after a point I started getting really annoyed. I told her that I still stand by whatever I had said. I told her that I wanted her back on the next flight, and if she did not come back we would be done, and there would be no wedding. And she told me that she was not coming back on the next flight, because she and her friends had paid for a 2 vacation, and would only be coming back home a few days before the wedding. And very soon, she told me that I had to deal with it, calling off the wedding. Before I could even respond to that, she just disconnected the phone call. When I tried to call her back, she did not answer. I was very upset with her, so I kept trying to text her for the next 2 days, until I finally just gave up, because obviously partying with her friends was more important to her than her fiancé. Even her wedding, that we had been planning for the past God knows how many months. I even told her family everything, and from what I know, they tried to contact her and convince her to come back as well, but she did not respond to them either. So eventually, I did what I had to do, and I called off the wedding. I did not make any formal announcements. I just reached out to everybody who had been invited, sent them a message saying that the wedding had been called off, and I also made sure to tell them not to speak to Mia about this, explain why exactly the wedding was being cancelled. I spoke to the vendors, took care of the cancellation charges and stuff, and I figured that I was going to get the money back from her later. But what was more important was teaching her a lesson. I think that's where I might have messed up. Our parents were not happy about what I was doing, and they wanted me to at least speak to her, wait for her to come back, and then have a discussion with her. But I was not willing to do that because I was so angry and upset. Just for the record, we have never had problems like this in our relationship before. Of course, like any other couple, we do fight over petty stuff sometimes, but most of the time they're just insignificant arguments that are easily solvable. We do solve them. That's why we have been together for almost 6 years, and I had never felt that I'm too young to be getting married, or that I'm not sure about her. I thought that I felt betrayed the same way. But when she said that she wanted to have some life experiences before she settled down with me, I felt really betrayed, and I felt like I might have overreacted. A couple of days back, she finally returned from her trip. She came straight back home, but I refused to let her in. She came back home around the evening, and I didn't even open the door to her. I told her to go away from inside the house. We argued about it for a bit. She told me that I couldn't do this to her because we were supposed to be getting married. In a few days, all the arrangements had already been made, so I needed to speak to her and sort this out, instead of acting so immature. And that's when I broke the news to her. I opened the door because I wanted to see her face, and I told her that the wedding had been called off. She had no right to act shocked about it either, because I had told her that that was exactly what I was going to do. She did not come back home soon, so all I had done was live up to my words. She was shocked, and I could see her getting upset. Within a few seconds, she started crying and telling me that after being together for 6 years, I couldn't just dump her over something like this. She started apologizing over and over again, telling me that she was ready to do whatever it took to forgive her. But I just had to marry her, and it really took me a lot of effort. But I knew that I couldn't forgive her, so I just shut the door. And she kept crying, begging for me to talk to her outside for a good 20 minutes or so. Before she finally left, I know that she's staying with her parents. She's staying with her parents right now, and she is completely shattered because of what has happened, which is why I feel really guilty, because her parents have kept in touch with me and have told me that she has been refusing to eat or even come out of her room. All she asks is whether I have agreed to meet her yet or not. They don't say it, but I know from their tone that her parents, and even my parents, think that I have been too hasty and maybe a little too harsh in dealing with the situation. After yesterday, I've been wondering about it myself, because apart from the group of college friends that had gone on the trip, whether everybody who had been on the guest list had received a message from me informing them about the wedding being called off, and why most of them did not respond to me apart from just consoling me. But I know that a few of them who were kind of close with Mia, in spite of my note telling them not to bring this up with her, had actually gone out of their way to forward her my message when she was out with her friends. She hadn't taken it seriously because she thought that they were bluffing and trying to scare her into coming back. Now, of course, she regrets everything that she has done. She has been sending everybody messages of her own, telling them that she's really sorry about everything, because she knows that she has let everybody in her life down, especially me. Since she regrets everything I've blocked her, she can't get to me directly, so she's been telling everybody else on the guest list to pass on the messages to me. All of those texts have been of her just apologizing, telling me how much I mean to her, and how she would hate to lose me forever. She has said that she still wants to get married to me, and she doesn't even care if we don't celebrate it in the grand way that we had planned. She wants to be with me. She just wants to be with me. She knows that she has made a huge mistake, but she's never going to repeat it again. All she needs is a second chance. I'm just paraphrasing right now, because it will be too much work to copy and paste those messages, but people have been forwarding those texts to me, and I don't know why. I just feel really guilty about it, particularly after yesterday. Like I said, in the beginning, I was supposed to get married yesterday. When I woke up, it just hit me so hard that I was supposed to be getting married today. But it's all ruined now. A relationship of almost 6 years is just gone just like that. Of course, something like that is very difficult to come to terms with. On top of that, I had people flooding my phone with consolations, and some people were still forwarding apologies from markers, and most of them just had nothing worthwhile to add to our conversation, so they were just randomly texting me to say hi, stuff. But I just felt so empty. I felt like my entire world had been turned upside down in just a couple of days, which in fact it had, so I was already finding everything very hard to deal with emotionally, and I decided that I was going to try talk to my parents to clear my head. But when I went to them, I could see that they were very upset as well, because they were also quite emotionally invested in all this. Naturally, Mia and I have been together for 6 years. We have pretty much grown up together since we were 19, so it's a massive deal for everyone involved, and I thought that my parents didn't say anything were going to comfort me, that they were going to tell me that I did the right thing, but instead, when I tried to speak to them about what I was going through at first, they just didn't say anything, and eventually they told me that they didn't think I had done the right thing when they said that my world just came crashing down around me because I had already been having a lot of doubts about what I had done. And my parents, of all people, saying that they did not agree with what had happened was just the last thing that I needed. And since then, I've been in a very weird state mentally, and I keep second-guessing myself. I haven't even found the energy or the mental capacity to talk to any of my friends about this. And eventually, I just found myself here. I don't know who else to turn to at this point. And I really need completely unbiased opinions because I'm just lost right now. So I had for cancelling my wedding after my fiancée went on an impromptu bachelor treat 2 weeks before our wedding. Refused to come back when I asked her to update one. Hi, thank you to everybody who commented on my post. It has been 4 days since I